Alright, so let's look at Mahabharata and astronomy. It shows there, everyone knows how many parvas are there in Mahabharata? 18 parvas, okay. Now, if how many of you have read Mahabharata? I mean read in the sense looked at the whole book, not like read every line or anything, but made yourself familiar. I am sure you have, right, okay. Very good, okay. Yes, so what you find is, yes, there are 18 parvas, but also right inside the Mahabharata, you can sense that sometime there was a slightly different arrangement, especially if you read Adi Parva. You can see that there were multiple chapters and sort of they were reorganized into different parvas, right. So, it is there. For our purpose, our practical purpose, we are going to stick with 18 parvas, okay. There are these chapters and 100 sub parvas, there are sub parvas, Gada Parva, we are not going to go there. Whatever we consider standard 18 parvas. So, again focusing on the astronomy. The specific astronomy references that we are interested, at least for the next 2 days, they appear in these parvas, okay. It starts with the Udyog Parva and then goes through Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Shalya, Sauptika, Stri, Shanti, Anushasan, Ashwamedhika. So, Parva is like a canto, different big subheading chapters, subsections, parts of the book, and there are total of 18. So, Udyog Parva is what? What does Udyog Parva discuss? Udyog, the word, that is a hint. Yeah, in some sense of preparations towards the war or towards the settlement, right, that is Udyog Parva. And then we have Bhishma Parva, that is when the war begins. Then Drona, Karna, Shalya, these are all Yuddha Parvas. During this the Yuddha is taking place. Sauptika Parva is the last night, 18th day, 18th night. That is when Ashwathama, Krupa, right, they attacked the Pandava camp and all the Draupadi's sons were killed and many others, right. Then Stri Parva. So, after that the war is over, next day, so after this this night of the 18th day, Ashwathama ran away, right, after telling Duryodhana what he has done. And then Ashwathama was humbled the next day, like Bhima and Arjun went there and you know the whole story, I am not going to get into that, but that happened on the next day. Ashwathama was humbled, right. Then came the time, the Stri Parva, which is when all the Kuru women now came to the battlefield in search of their loved ones, the bodies of their loved ones, okay. And then what happened? Then all the fire rites, cremation for all the dead bodies happen. And then Yudhishthir, his brothers, Dhritarashtra, everyone left for the bank of Ganga, okay. Shaucha, this Ashaucha. So they went to bank of Ganga, there they stayed for a month. The Shanti Parva, the beginning starts with that. They stayed on the bank of Ganga for a month. And then they came back to Hastinapur. Yudhishthir was coronated as a king, few things happened. And so Yudhishthir was coronated as a king. Yudhishthir assigned duties to many of his brothers and others, Sanjay, Vidur and whatnot. He honored Krishna. He gave compensation to the families, many families who have lost their family members in the war. And it is at this time that Krishna reminds Yudhishthir that Bhishma is waiting for you, okay, and we have to go and meet him. So that time they leave for the Kurukshetra, they meet Bhishma. Then Yudhishthir and Bhishma, that dialogue, the Raja Dharma, Moksha Dharma, all of that continued, and that continued for some time. Anyone knows how long that discussion between Yudhishthir and continued? Yudhishthir and Bhishma? No. Okay. So it is there in Mahabharata. That is my original contribution in terms of also finding out how long it was. It was 6 days. It lasted for 6 days. And the last 6th day, that is when Bhishma recited, very famous, all of us know it, Vishnu Sahasranam, okay, in the company of everyone. And then Bhishma told Yudhishthir to go back to Hastinapur and only return when the sun turned northward, which is the day of winter solstice. How many of you understand what is winter solstice? or Uttarayan, the day of Uttarayan. Okay, some of you do, if not, we are going to go through it. Okay, so that is the day Bhishma passed away. So when Yudhishthir went back to Hastinapur, he stayed in Hastinapur for 50 nights. Okay, and the reason I am mentioning, I will come to that in a minute. So he stayed there for 50 nights, then he came back, and that's then Bhishma passed away. Shanti and Anushasan Parva is all about the discussion between Yudhishthir and Bhishma. Okay, and then after Bhishma passed away, the Pandavas went in search of wealth, because all the treasury has become empty, and then they start the Ashwamedha Yajna. Okay, so that's the Ashwamedhika Parva, which is what? Close to the war. Just from the before war to the war is over, Bhishma passes away, and some time, possibly up to a year, because that's what the Ashwamedha Yajna takes. So those from Parva number 5, that is Udyog Parva, to Ashwamedhika Parva, is where we find almost all the astronomy references that really count in determining the chronology aspect of Mahabharata. These Parva, Adi Parva, Sabha Parva, Vana Parva, Virata Parva, and then also on the other side Ashrama Vasika Parva and Mausal Parva. These Parva don't give astronomy references that are of much use, but what they do give us is the chronological information. For example, Mausal Parva gives us that after the Mahābhārata war, after 36 years, Dwarka was flooded, Krishna passed away, Balaram passed away, and so on. Okay, so we get chronological information from these Parva. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 16. And then there are two more Parvas, 17 and 18, Mahaprasthanika Parva and then Swargarohan Parva. As far as the astronomy is concerned, there is nothing in those two Parva for our benefit. Okay, this is just information, nothing complicated about this. Okay, so let's look at the astronomy evidence. So you look at the Mahabharata text, approximately 125,000 verses. Okay, and I remember someone asking, let's see, MSS, where is that? Here, MBH, MSS, which one do we use? Okay, who asked that question? Okay, so what are the different Mahabharata MSS, like manuscripts, that you are aware of? One is a Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, critical edition they call it. Of course, what did they do? They looked at hundreds of them, multiple things, and they documented. They did something wonderful. That's how the critical work should be done. What did they do? Based on their judgment, they decided maybe this appears to be the primary version of Mahabharata. Okay, based on whatever the time, doesn't matter. But anytime there was a deviation, they did not throw it away. It's very important point, guys. Okay, when I talked about the 95% of many Mahabharata researchers unfortunately into the wrong category, is because of this. So they did not throw that evidence. What they did is, anytime there is a deviation at the bottom, I mean, if I had a picture, I'll show you, and I may find tomorrow. Bottom, they just show the deviation. Even literally each word, Anuswar, Visarga, if there is a difference, it's listed. What does that do? If you want to look at possibly what could be the different interpretation, different versions of that shlok, you can go there. And I have used all that knowledge. Okay, so the Bhandarkar is the one. The another famous one that you would have heard is a Gita Press Gorakhpur. Okay, so that's kind of another version of Mahabharata. Now, when I say version, there is not much difference. Just do recognize that. Okay, not much difference, and I'm going to show you some example. The third version, I mean, there are many, but the third version is called Southern version, S.S. Shastri, Kumbakonam, okay, S.S. Shastri version. And again, not much difference. I mean, there are differences. As far as the astronomy is concerned, just to answer your question now, so you know what, I'm going to score a point here, Okay, this question is answered now. Done. Okay. As far as the astronomy is concerned, it does not matter which of the three versions you use. But it is really good if you use all three and many more. You are just going to get more information, your insights are going to get more richer, and I'm going to give you some demonstration of that, not today, by the whole thing together. Yes. For a starter, which of the version I recommend? Okay, very easy to answer. Now that depends, assuming can you read the English or Hindi, you know. But say Gita Press Gorakhpur also gives a translation. Bhandarkar Oriental doesn't give a translation. And the Kumbakonam, at least to my knowledge, it doesn't give translation. So the choice is very easy. Can I score another point? Okay. So Gita Press, now Gita Press might also have an English translation, you know. I don't have it. No, it's not, right? Yeah. That's a challenge kind of thing. So then there is a yeah, then there is it's not a good English because it's a English bit old, which is a Krishna Mohan Ganguly. It's online, translated in English, but it says then he kideth, you know, the old English that you see, you know. So that's not very fun to read, but it's very useful. I mean, whatever they have done is very useful. Just for English, in case you are stuck with that, you know. So that's about it. Gita Press is kind of the answer. And if you know Sanskrit, then no big deal. I mean, take Bhandarkar, take any. There is an online spoken Sanskrit dictionary. Again, you may find it very useful if you decide to go deeper into the subject. So anytime you see the word, you just type it. You know, online spoken. It's a German site. Amazing job they have done. Almost all the Sanskrit dictionaries are in one place. Apte dictionary, just 5-6 dictionaries are in one place. Just type spoken Sanskrit dictionary and you will get it. The very first thing you will get it. Okay. And that is very useful also because you can see the multiple shades of meaning and all that. Okay. So Gita Press. Now, so you have, what you have here is around 125,000 verses. Okay. Depending on which versions you are looking at, 18 per verse. The first principle, and I am going to go into the models in afterwards, scientific models, but for now, one of the principle of scientific acumen, and I don't know if our other friend is here, no, he might have taken a break. In the Madurai lecture, I talked, the talk was scientific acumen and contribution of Indian civilization. So I talked about the scientific acumen. We'll bring it together. One of the principle is the separation. The first thing you do before you doing anything else is you separate it out. You know, in the morning, Swamiji talked about the prayojan. If you don't have a prayojan and you just start, you know, what is going to happen? It's a lot of effort without any benefit. Okay, the word that is used in a scientific or Vijnana Buddhi is a nischay. Aim. What is your aim? Why are you doing this? Okay, and you know, I mentor a few people and sometimes I ask them, you know, I was telling a couple of you the story. Somebody who had finished her PhD, you know, and I asked that person, so why did you choose this subject? And she couldn't answer. Okay, now sometimes the answer could be, my professor said better work on this, otherwise no PhD. But that is the answer, right? That is the answer, not a great answer. But you better know why you are doing something. So Nischay, we'll get to that. But then Pruthakkaran is, now you want to separate the astronomy evidence. Now, you know, what you need here is the attitude like a Ekalavya or attitude like of Arjun. Remember, Arjuna's test was taken and Dronacharya was asking, what do you see? And if you gave any other answer, please don't throw the arrow. So the parrot and the left eye of a parrot or whatever it is. When you look for this evidence, or when I looked for that evidence, do you know what I was doing? I mean, Sir Arundhati ji mentioned and she asked me how many times I read. I said many times, right from the beginning to the end. But because I was looking for astronomy evidence, you know what? No matter how exciting and interesting stuff comes there, I'm not paying attention to it. I'm just looking for astronomy. Is there any planet? Is there any star? Is there a nakshatra? That's it. That's how you have to do it. That's how you can extract. So when I did this, or if you do it, you're going to end up here. Okay, and the reason I have put it plus is because there are more, you know, and there are always many that I might have missed. So what I found, and you can, I mean, now I have found more also, more than, so I put it 215 plus. You know what is the beauty of 215 plus? I cannot go wrong even if you find more. I said it 215 plus, right? Actually, I found 100 more now and I will talk about it when the time comes. So for now, around 200 plus astronomy references. Okay, so that's the first step. From this entire Mahabharata, separate those out. Now the question you might have, how do they look like? Okay, what is, I mean, many people have some simplistic ideas. Oh, okay, so just like, the person saying this Harsha was born on Jyeshta Shukla Dvitiya, and now tell me what is his life here. So they say, okay, so what do you do? One person, I mean, some computer guy, he just came, oh, so why are you wasting that time like that? Just tell me the positions, I will run the simulation. I said, if that was that easy, many people would have done it, right? Okay. Now, he was enthusiastic, so I appreciate that. This is taken a small piece from, looks familiar if you read the old type of manuscripts. This one is from the Bhishma Parva, second chapter of Bhishma Parva, second adhyaya of Bhishma Parva. And I don't know if you can read it, it's kind of hard to read. But, do you see the arrow? I move the arrow, okay. So, this is number 23, okay. So, this is from Bhishma Parva, adhyaya 2. And the verse number now 22 is ending there, and I am going to read starting after 22. Yeah, Alaksha Prabhaya Hina Purnimase cha Kartikim Chandrodbud Agni Varnascha Padma Varne Nabhastale. It's a bit hard to read, okay. What is it saying? We have Sanskrit experts here. Alaksha Prabhaya Hina Purnimase cha Kartikim. So, for example, the full moon of Kartik. Alaksha Prabhayana, in a very mysterious way, not mysterious way, but it had lost its splendor, although the full moon, okay. Chandrodbud Agni Varnasya Padma Varne Nabhastale, so that moon had, had a color of a fire, Agni Varnasya Padma Varne Nabhastale, like a lotus, the pink lotus, it has become pink and it was in the sky. Who can tell me what could be the description that is being said here, stated here? Could be, not a guarantee. Moon, rising moon of full moon of Kartika. Anyone else? Eclipse, possibly eclipse, not a guarantee. Because why I say not a guarantee? So, what are you saying? I mean, I am with you. Maybe at the time of sunrise or sunset. Yeah, you, Sri Charan, I like you, and now I like you, Professor, No, that's true. So, what happens is, I'll come back to you. So, what happens is, actually, how many of you have seen full moon or close to a full moon during the sunrise? Meaning, if it's a full moon, it's going to be in the west. Just at the sunrise, and what color do you see? Many times you'll see a coppery color. Not as much, but similar to a eclipse. That is also possible. So, that is a possibility that it may be actually a eclipse. That is a possibility, and therefore, I said it's a possibility, not a guarantee. Because if it was a guarantee, what might tell us? Actually, they might have used the word. They might have used the word for eclipse, aparvani, and all that they have used it. They haven't used it. It could be, it may not be. But that's what it's telling us. Okay, but what would be your conclusion based on that verse? Again, it is full moon. Purnimasi cha Kartikim. Okay, so they're saying it is the full moon of a Kartik month. Okay, the Purnima, full moon. Okay, so it's there. So my point is that is how you detect. So some people are saying, okay, how does it look like? How does astronomy evidence looks like? Okay, let's look at the next one. And then I'm going to skip others. For example, it's saying Devata, Pratima, the statues, the murti of the gods are shaking. There are things, descriptions like that. Now, is that an astronomy observation? No, it is not. Now, somebody will say, well, I think it's astronomy observation. You say, be my guest, explain me. Nothing wrong if somebody says that, okay? But it's not appears to be this. Let's see. Now, we are going to come down to this 30. Just once the 30 is over. This is that Arundhati observation, by the way. So, my cursor is here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Ya chaisha Vishruta Rajas Trailokye Sadhu Sammata Arundhati Taya Pesha Vasishta Prushtata Kruta. Okay, my dear king, Vyasadeva is saying this to Dhritarashtra, okay, that the great Arundhati, famous in all three worlds, has placed her husband behind. Okay, she is walking ahead of her husband Vasishtha. Okay. Then the next one, if you see 31, Rohini Pidayannesha Stito Rajan Shaneschare Vyavrutta Lakshma Somasya Bhavishyati Mahadbhayam. Rohini Pidayannesha Stito Raja Shaneschare. So Rohini Nakshatra, you would have definitely heard this. Rohini Nakshatra is been afflicted, Pidayante, afflicted by Shaneschara. Who is Shaneschara? Saturn is afflicted by Saturn. And Vyavrutta Lakshma Somasya Bhavishyati Mahadbhayam. So Bhavishyati Mahadbhayam, just ignore it. He's saying calamity is going to happen. But Vyavrutta Lakshma Somasya is the mark on the moon is not clear, or it is been covered, or something of that effect. Now, just take that. What it could mean? It's not one explanation. Vyavrutta Lakshma Somasya. So the mark on the moon is not clear or is covered or something of that effect. It's turned away. So somebody hit the moon and moon has turned away, one possible. What else? Yeah, sky itself is cloudy, you know, it's not very clear. What else? Or when the mark on the moon is not visible, besides these two instances. Amavasya. So it's not full moon, the time seems to be away from the full moon, closer to the Amavasya. So these are some of the possibilities, right? I mean, each one of the possibilities is a real possibility. What I'm trying to make you understand is first how to recognize astronomy evidence and accepting the possibility of multiple interpretations. With me? Okay. So these are like few verses, and how many astronomy references we found. First is full moon of Kartika, then Arundhati walking ahead of Vasishtha, then Saturn afflicting Rohini, and then mark on the moon kind of disappearing. So in just in this small passage we have 4 astronomy references, all right. Or this one is a cleaner version here, you know. Now this one is from the Southern Kumbakonam edition, okay, Kumbakonam edition. It says this is from the Bhishma Parva 3rd chapter, Adhyay 3rd. It says Dhruvam Prajulitam Ghoram Apasavya Pravartate Chitra Swatyantare Chaiva Samsthita Parushagraha Vakranu Krutvam Tu Shravane Pavaka Prabha Brahmyam Nakshatram Ashritya Lohitango Vyavastito. The reason I am reading it, don't have to remember anything. Now, instead of Kumbakonam edition, if you let's say go to Gita Press edition, okay, or let's call Gita Press, not the Bhandarkar, because Bhandarkar shows all versions, you know. The Gorakhpur edition will say Dhruvam Prajulitam Ghoram Apasavya Pravartate, everything same. Chitra Swatantare Chaiva Dishtita Parushagraha. Instead of Samsthita, Samsthita meaning in its own place kind of becomes steady. Dishtita means fixed itself. Are you with me? The words are slightly different, the meaning has not changed, directional meaning has not changed. Vakranu Vakram Krutvam Tu, the other version says Vakranu Vakra Krutvam Cha also, and then Shravane Pavaka Prabha, and this is important, here it says Brahmyam Nakshatram Ashrityam Lohitango Vyavastita. Gorakhpur Press will say Brahma Rashi Samavrutta Lohitango Vyavastita. And just I want you to remember it, I will show you what is the importance of this. If you read this, you should able to reach the same conclusion. If you read, use the Gorakhpur Press, you should able to reach the same conclusion. If you use both of them, your conclusion gets stronger. And when we get there, I will show you how that happens. Everyone with me? So just in terms of version, people make big deal. No need to make a big deal, at least as far as astronomy reference is concerned. Now something else, we have that question here. This is not from Mahabharata, but this is from Srimad Bhagavad. This is from a Bhagavad Puran. Okay. So our guest in the morning had said this in the morning. So the last verse from Bhagavatam, it says Yasmin Krishno Divam Yatas Tasminneva Tadahani Pratipannam Kalyugam Iti Prahu Puravida. Okay. Our chief guest, I forgot the name, Nair, Mahābhārata Nair. Yeah. So he referred to some of the verses in the morning, and one of the things that is common, I am sure you have heard it, maybe you believe it, and that's perfectly fine, is what? When Krishna left, Kali Yuga began. correct? When Krishna left, Kali Yuga began. But we don't stop there. That's a reasonable statement, because Mahabharata also you have some evidence for that Mahabharata happened during the Dwapar Yuga or at the end of Dwapar, at the interface of Dwapar and Kali, so that's reasonable. But when did the Kali Yuga begin? What is your answer? It's a very standard answer, almost everyone knows it. 3100, yeah? How many of you have heard this? 3100 O2 BC, okay? Because we are in astronomy class, what I want to tell you is this, and we'll get there. There is not even a single astronomy reference in Mahabharata, not a single reference that will ever allow you in any possible way to this date. Okay? Yeah. Then how did it arrive, right? Okay, we'll just put that as a parking lot for now. And then you also heard some other words. What you see at the top there is like, between the two kings, how many years passed by. We can get that kind of information. So there is like refers to 1115 and so on. I'm not going to go there. The reason I'm showing this from Bhagavad Puran is for a reason. When you are trying to analyze the text, you cannot, everyone understands what is khichdi? Yeah? Or what is that? Yeah. Yeah, and no, what is the Tamil dish, No, that's Pongal. So, sort of it's mixed like it's a mixture, Maharashtra khichdi, something like that. So what happens? If you take one reference from here and one reference from another text, and then you say, but that doesn't make sense, it's confusing me, oh, how come that person says this and how come that person says this, right? That is happening because you are not being consistent. That is another principle of Vijnana Buddhi, scientific acumen. You don't just mix up things. So if you want to study Bhagavad Puran, absolutely fine. Bhagavad Puran has tons of useful information. But that is a tradition from Bhagavad Puran. So if Bhagavad Puran, suppose, leads you to a certain year for the Mahabharata, okay, for argument's sake, it leads to a certain year. And then Mahabharata leads you to another. Or let us say you have not studied Mahabharata, but Bhagavatam leads you to a certain year. I'll just put 1 year, okay? It doesn't, but I'll just for example. Let's say, you might have seen this date, by the way, 3138 BC, Kota Venkatachalam. If you are familiar with that book, 3138, many others, P.V. Hole gives 3143, and just on and on. I can write here 50 dates just close to this. What they have come from? They have simply come from the fact they started here. This is the beginning of Kali Yuga, and they went backwards. Now everyone is comfortable with the BCE. BC is going backwards. So 3138 happened before 3102 BC. Everyone follows? Our axis is like this. This is 0 here. This is BC, AD or CE and BCE business. Okay? Estimated date of Jesus. Yeah, that's what this is used for. And here we are at 2018 CE or AD. When you go backwards, you are going to find 3102 BCE here, and if you go back 36 years, that is 3138 BCE. You follow? Before Christ, if you want to use that, or before Common Era. Since India being a secular country, we should use the secular term, BCE, before Common Era. Everyone with me? Okay. All right. So if you use something from, say, Bhagavatam, and for argument's sake, you get this date, that's fine. I'm not saying that's correct, but that's fine. What is the next question you would ask? You said, okay, so 3138 according to Bhagavad Puran, it doesn't give that. I'm just giving an example. Now, what does Mahabharata has to say about it? Isn't it what you should ask? Because if it is about Mahabharata, okay, if you are fighting about my birth date, I think as a minimum courtesy, you should come and ask me when I was born. Yeah? Okay. So if you do that, what you will find is whatever date, Mahabharata has no evidence whatsoever that will allow you to come at this date as the beginning of Kali Yuga. Okay? Alright, the classification of astronomy evidence. So we separated the astronomy evidence, step 1. We have a nishchay, prayojan. What is the prayojan? There are many prayojan with astronomy evidence, but one prayojan is, let's say, to find out when Mahābhārata War happened, okay, just as example. So we could have many things, many reasons, many prayojan why we are looking at the astronomy evidence. It could be to determine the chronology. It could be to define the state of astronomy sophistication of Mahabharata times. You have given that, you want to know how sophisticated it was. It could be to identify differences. I think somebody said it, right? Identify the differences between astronomy of Mahabharata times versus astronomy now. What are the differences? See, I am a mind reader. What you said, I already wrote it down. Huh? Calendrical system of Mahabharata times. Did you say it? Yeah, absolutely. And the accuracy and precision of astronomy observations of the Mahabharata times. There could be many prayojan. So, you have to decide what is your prayojan. Yes. You may have to start.
So, before going further, can you please present some points to establish the historicity of Mahabharata?
Yeah. So, I'll come to that, okay? Yeah. So, you want to decide this prayojan. So, if we decide it's the chronology is my objective, then there is a certain way you need to separate this evidence, okay? You need to classify. So, this is how we need to classify, okay? So, that's the second principle of Vijnana Buddhi, scientific acumen. So, and we are going to do this afternoon and tomorrow also. What is the effect due to precision, okay? So, you can take all these 215 plus astronomy data observations and split them into two categories, okay? And I am going to give you some logic how it is done, just take it for now. So, if you take those 215 observations, they can be classified into two categories. These observations, I am calling them effects due to the precession. Don't worry right now what is precession, we are going to study it. And don't worry what is a near earth phenomenon, okay? That's why I need all of you volunteer to help me understand this. So, we are going to look at these two categories, okay? And how we use them. Now, let's get back to scientific acumen and see connection of this. Real science. Anytime you hear of a science, what comes to your mind? Where the science started around the world? We'll start with our friends from France. Based on your knowledge, where did the science begin? And don't say India to make me happy, okay? What did you study? No? I sent you a googly? No? In a cricket terms? No? Okay. Think about it. Okay. Anyone else? Where did the science begin? Huh? Galileo. So, Galileo was in Italy. So, let's take Italy, Rome. Like Rome, science began in Rome. Yeah. Anyone else? No, in general also. Like science as a discipline, Okay. How many of you went to school? All of you? Okay. What did they teach you there? That's what I'm asking, in a way. Oh, you were not paying attention, I can tell you. Science begin. Like, where does the science come from? So, where does the yoga come from? Yoga. India? Okay, that's people sort of agree. Where does Ayurveda come from? India? Are you sure? Or let me think. No? Okay. In a similar fashion, what were you taught? Where did the science come from? Europe. Within the Europe, Rome, Greece. Who is saying that? You get brownie points. Who said Greece? Yeah, that's what you're going to hear. I don't know which school you went to, guys. Okay? Definitely not the one I went to, because I was taught Greece and Rome. It started with the Greece. By the way, the Greece does have a wonderful tradition, okay? If you go back 500, 800 BC, Thales, Anaximander, Xenophanes, amazing tradition. But look at the timing. We are looking at the 800 BC, 500 BC and so on. Okay, that is the timing. And then there are theories about their connection to China, their connection to India, and so on. You know, and they could have developed it on their own. We are not getting into that discussion. But how many of you will feel? I mean, maybe because as an Indian, you might say, "Oh, maybe that's true," but naturally answer, "Oh, the science began in India." Because if you say yes, the next question is now show me the proof. And now you say, "Oh, please, now come on, just trust my word." Right? Where does the science begin? If your answer is in India, the next question they are going to ask you, you will be challenged. Okay, you show me the proof, show me the money, something like this. Okay, let's look at this. Sage Patanjali, everyone has heard the name, Yoga Sutra. Okay, how many of you have read Yoga Sutra? No? Okay, some of you. Partial. Okay, how many of you think that the science that we call, the Newton, Einstein, Kepler and Faraday and all the names that I heard, okay, the science that they did, the basis came from Patanjali Yoga Sutra. If I tell you, how many of you think I am a crackpot? Thank you. Okay, I am going to prove you wrong. I love being a crackpot. Okay. Patanjali, first Samadhipad, first chapter Samadhipad, and the sutra number 7. The first one is a yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, keep it aside. Sage Patanjali says, Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama, Pramanani. Pratyaksha, okay, Indriya Pramanya, objective testing. Anumana, inference, conclusion, prediction. Agama, background knowledge. Pramanani, evidence, proof. Okay. What does he say next is even more interesting. He says, this is the way to knowledge. This is the way to the proof. This is the way to your comprehension. Next one says, Viparyayo mithya jnanam atadrupa pratishtam. Anything contrary to this, if you don't use that first method, if you don't follow that path, anything contrary to this is a mithya jnanam. No wishy-washy. In this sutra, Viparyayo.
In this sutra, he is actually explaining what is the meaning of the word Viparyaya, because he has listed.
He has the initial, if you go back to number 4 or 5, right?
So, anything contrary to this is Mithya Jnana. That is not how we make up the sentence.
Not how you. Okay? And that's what the point I want to bring. So, what happens? What is the definition of a Yoga Sutra? The Yoga Sutra is deliberately giving to you in the impact form. Okay? Now, I don't know if he remembers, but my whole talk in Madurai was very much about the expansive meanings of a specific word. Okay? So, in a certain context, you will take Viparyayo to mean certain thing. But the job of a Yoga Sutra, the compact words, and I'll give you an example in a minute, the compact word is to really left to you. So, as you study more, as your experience grows more, the meaning is going to expand for you. So, if I am looking from a science perspective, a certain meaning will come to me, which will not, so Vyakaran, Sanskriti, so they are going to say, okay, that's not what it is.
Yeah, but there are certain tools, Mimamsa and Vyakarana tools, by which you can find out what is the intent of the writer.
I'm with you.
So, following that intent, following those rules, Viparyaya becomes a, what is that, Anuvadya, and Mithyajnana is
correct.
Vidheya.
Yeah. So, if you are here, if
he's a,
True. No, that's correct. If Gauri Maulikar was here, okay, you made my life difficult, she would have made it worse. Okay, this happens all the time. When I was in, and so what you're doing is thank you, because that's I want it to happen.
Just a constructive.
Yeah. No. Don't worry. I'm a sales guy, man. People can slam the door in my face and I can take it. No, I want this to happen. This is for a reason. This is very much for a reason. I mean, that's why I said it. Okay. So, but I'll come back to that. So, my meaning of it, okay, the one who doesn't understand a Vyakaran, doesn't understand Sanskrit, is this: Viparyayo Mithyajnanam Atadrupa Pratishtam, is anything contrary to this is a Mithyajnanam. We'll just go with that. Okay, we can disagree on this. The next one And I'll tell you what happens, and I'll give you, if I get chance, I'll give you tomorrow examples of what happens. The Sanskritist, for example, and great respect to them, that's why they preserved it, when they don't understand the word, for example, take Brahmyam Nakshatram Ashritya, you know, or Ramayana has Brahma Rashir Vishuddhasya, one verse, you know, Brahma Rashir Vishuddhasya Shuddhasya Paramarshya Archishmantah Prakashante Dhruvam Sarve Pradakshanam. And I'll give you that verse tomorrow to translate. You both are Vyakaran experts. And Gauri Maulikar was there in my Mumbai talk, you know, and she said, but I'm a totally ignorant of the Vyakaran or anything. You know what she said, but you know, that goes into Dvitiya, Tritiya, whatever it is, and said that doesn't make sense. I said, that's true, but now tell me, what is the meaning of Brahma Rashi to you? She said, oh, that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? What happens over a period of time, not so much to Yoga Sutra, is that some of the words, I showed you some variations. When the people are copying things, there is some variation and that twists the thing. But when you are reading, say, an astronomy reference, I'll show you some translations of Acharya, whoever like this. And what they do is, Brahma Rashi Samavrutti, Brahma Rashi Vishuddhasya, Shuddhasya Paramarshya. He has translated everything. This is a Ramayana translation, but no translation for Brahma Rashi. And my point is, the whole thing is about Brahma Rashi. Like you're taking the crux out. You know, have you eaten vada pav? Yeah? Everything is there, but no vada. So that is of no use. So I may not know, so we'll come to that, okay? So my translation anyways is that Viparyo Mithyajnanam Atadrupa Pratishtam. I'll tell you the other objection that I get, you know, besides this. The next one, next to that is Shabda Jnana, and I would love to see your third translation also, because, you know, because it's, I know it goes back to 4 and 5, whatever is said there. Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpa. Okay, my translation of that is a verbal claim or a verbal statement, Shabda Jnan, that does not have a backing of a factual information. It's Vastu Shunya, it doesn't have a backing, leads to a confusion or leads to a delusion, like Vikalpa. Okay, so I'm just saying the method of science is Pratyaksha Anumana Agama Pramanani. Anything contrary to this is not a scientific way or not a right way of doing things. And a claim that doesn't have a backing of objectively testable evidence leads to confusion or delusion. Okay, now you may have slightly different meaning to that. We'll come back. Now, the other objection I get, by the way, is this. When I quoted this a while ago, few years ago, somebody was not even happy that I was using Yoga Sutra to talk about science. No, you have no problem, but you understand. He said, no, hold on. In fact, do you know what was his suggestion to me? He said, if you're talking about science, Nilesh, I love what you're doing, but just refer to Gautama Nyaya Darshan. Don't mess up with Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Okay, in some sense, that is our purist approach, you know, because someone is focused on Yoga Sutra. Now, Bhagavad-Gita, what do you think of Bhagavad-Gita? About a philosophical literature? So someone, if I start finding the astronomy reference in Bhagavad-Gita, someone who is totally focused on devotion and philosophy is going to get upset. What will he or she say? Please don't touch Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita has astronomy references which will take you to 6th millennium BCE. Masana Marga Shirshoyam. Okay? Or Nakshatrana Maham Shashi. We talked about Rupa Bhatti. She has taken Nakshatrana Maham Shashi to show 6th millennium BCE. Or Masanam Marga Shirshoyam, if you combine with other Mahabharata evidence, takes you to the 6th millennium BC. So it is there. It is there. Alright. So the other text that you are saying, Sage Gautama from Nyaya Darshan, and what does he uses? Slight modification from Yoga Sutra. Pratyaksha Anumana Upamana Shabda Pramanani. So Pratyaksha, objective testing. Anumana is a inference or prediction. Upamana, analogy, okay, allegory and simile and things like that. Shabda. Now, Gautama uses Shabda in the sense of Agama, like a background knowledge or just a verbal proof, like a verbal statement, like Arundhati verse, and then the proof or the evidence, or that serves as a proof. Couple more lines and I'm going to stop. I would encourage you, hopefully, you know, if I can make you read these texts, I have done my job, you know, just from that sense. Wonderful definition. I loved it, you know. I said, how much deeper these folks have thought about this scientific acumen. Drishtanta is a very, very important, you know, the allegory. Okay. What is the definition? Laukika parikshakanam yasmin arthe buddhi samyam sadrishtanta. We talk of, you know, sometimes a tough subject is not understood. What do we do? What do we do? We give a simple example. Yeah, and people, everyone, like if I say vada pav, vada is not there, everyone understands. That is a drishtanta, in a way. So, laukika parikshakanam yasmin arthe buddhi samyam sadrishtanta. And I am going to give you an example. So, what it says is, when all the common people about any subject and an expert, when they use such an example that everyone is on the same page in terms of the understanding, that is a drishtanta. That is a allegory. You know, they have thought so much deeper through it. And the next one is, I will skip this, jalpa, which is what? Person doesn't care. Person wants to somehow win in the argumentative fight. Okay, that's jalpa. But next one is also very interesting. It says, Swa pratipaksha stapana hino vitanda. You have heard vitanda, vitandavad. Vitandavad, you know, mat karo, avoid it. What a wonderful definition. Do you know why it's wonderful? Because that's extremely scientific. In fact, the whole science is there into that one line, although we are talking Vitanda. Who is going to look at it and say that has anything to do with the science? But I'll tell you what it has to do with the science. Swa pratipaksha stapana hino Vitanda, which means, you can help me. So, unless I have, or one has a alternate position, your own position, without having your own position, you are trying to argue with someone how that person is wrong. Are you with me? That is a Vitanda. Now, you know what science says? There is no absolute perfect theories or anything in the world. It is all relative. I'll tell you a quick story. I know it's afternoon and it's a nap time, you know. I'll tell you a story. There was one artist, painter, you know. What he did, he painted a beautiful painting, a famous artist. And if you have gone to Europe, and I'm sure some places here it happens, artistic place, they do an exhibition outside. You know? So what he did is, he put the poster outside, that painting outside, and at the bottom he wrote a note. He said, please find the defect in this painting, and wherever you see the defect, mark it with a small X. So he put the painting there in the morning, he went away, and in the evening he came back. And he saw something. I want you to help me. What you think he might have seen? Lots of X's, many people had marked X. So then another location, he took his original similar painting, same painting, placed it there, and next time he changed slightly. He said, please identify a mistake in the painting, and then here take this and correct it. And then he went away. In the evening again he came back and he saw something. Again, I want you to help me. What did he see? Nothing was there. Because now the person had to find a mistake and then correct it. But oh, you please tell me what are my faults, you know. How can, okay, here, you know, something like that. So pratipaksha stapana hino vitanda. If you cannot come up with your own position, so suppose my 5561 BC, just as an example, and someone says, I don't agree with it. Oh, but you know, a lot of problems. Well, there are problems, I know them. Okay? There are problems. I know them. Do you think Newton's theory is perfect? How many of you think Newton had a perfect theory? I mean, the great Newton. Newton's theory. How many of you think it's a perfect? Huh? But what you have heard, you haven't seen a flaw, right? Yeah. In Newton's theory. No, there may be, but you no, he's being safe. No, don't be safe. Let's have fun, by the way. Guys, it's perfectly okay to be wrong. So he said, based on his knowledge, not that he's an expert, but he has not seen any flaws into Newton's theory. Do you agree with him? No. Why do you not agree with him? Yes. Correct. So, in fact, what Einstein did is basically falsifying Newton's theory. We still use Newton's theory because in practical world it works as approximation. But Einstein's is, Newton's is a specific case. My point is, Einstein we admire because he just didn't say, oh Newton, come on, you don't know the stuff, it's wrong. No, Einstein came up with something that is better than Newton. It also explains why Newton's theory still works. It also explains why Newton's theory is wrong. Are you with me? So if you don't do that, then Swapratipakša Sthapana, Vitanda. What is the scientific principle? There is no absolutely certain things in the world. Okay? How many of you know the Nasadiya Sukta of Rigveda? Right? It says, okay, we don't know when the world began, let's ask the gods. And what does it say? Well, the gods were not there when it began, so they wouldn't know. Then finally it says, let's ask that Parama Brahma, whatever the word is, maybe he knows. Or what? Then what does he say? Or maybe he knows not. That is a scientific principle. We can try our best. We don't know whether we will reach the destination. But our experience as a humanity is that when we try, many times we succeed. So let's try. Okay. In our times, I call it sage Karl Popper for that reason. It's not like the sages only, the Santa only happen in India, and suddenly you cross the border and nobody. Karl Popper, Sir Karl Popper, I would encourage you to read, if you are interested in science, to read his books. Okay. What does he write? What is science? He says explanation, he talks about the triangle of explanation, prediction, testing in the context of the background knowledge and in the context of a theory. Do you see any similarity on the screen? A triangle of explanation, prediction, testing, explanation, prediction, testing in the context of background knowledge and about a theory. Guys, essentially Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama Pramanani or Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Shabda Pramanani is nothing but explanation, prediction, testing in the context of background knowledge, Agama, and in the context of a theory which is a Nishchay or a Prayojan. Okay. Or if you have heard the name Richard Feynman, another famous name in physics, okay, what does he say? If you have a problem, you start with the problem, you propose a solution, then based on the solution you compute the consequences, which means predictions, inferences, and then you take those and compare with the evidence, saying the exactly same thing, Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama, Pramanani. Okay, now who was before, Sage Patanjal or Sir Karl Popper, who passed away in 1993? Essentially, he is repeating the words of Sage Patanjal. Now, I'm a great fan of Sir Karl Popper. Most of my scientific background came from his works. Okay, so now he could have come up to this independently, or he would have ended up reading Sage Patanjal and synthesizing it for his benefit. So back to the point I was making is that original intention of those sutra could be very different for whatever purpose that want to do. For example, when Krishna was describing Vibhuti Yoga and saying, you can see me in the Himalayas and in the Ganga and in among the months Margashirsha and all of that, he may not have this whole keeping the astronomy evidence for Nilesh Oak in his mind. But indirectly it may serve that purpose. Are you with me? So it can be used, it can be extracted for something else. So quick 11 elements of Vijnana Buddhi. We looked at Prithakkaran and Vargikaran, if you remember. Extraction, separation, and then classification, that is what. We are going to look at quickly a few examples of how. Then bringing it all together, you can call it unification, final conclusion. And you know what? This is very important. So for example, here the professor, what he did, when I said something, or what I want all of you to do, is say, hold on, who are you? You think that's the meaning? No, I don't think so. This was about meaning. It could be about something else. Samshay, okay, doubt is very important. Otherwise, there is no progress. Otherwise, everyone, yeah, we all agree to this. Yes, it's all great, It doesn't make progress, We can fall on our face. Karya Karana Bhav, not always possible, but try to understand why that it happened that way. Why, okay? So that's why. And then Indriya Brahm, for example, my lack of knowledge of Sanskrit can lead me to the wrong conclusion, okay? Similarly, what can happen? Sometime while I'm doing the calculation, I can make mistakes, okay? So I could be, actually I should be ready for accepting that what I did is wrong. Okay, again I'm going to quote Bhagavad-Gita. I think no one will have a problem. Bhagavad-Gita, what is it? Help me, say 16. Abhayam sattva samshuddhir jnana yoga vyavasthiti. So the first word is be fearless, be bold, abhayam, fearless. But that whole thing ends with what? Tejak shama dhruti shaucho nadroho amanita. And be humble. Be humble to be wrong. Okay? Then you can have fun. Then you can have fun. You cannot go wrong, right? Hey, I'm wrong, So, Indriya Bhram, it can lead you to the confusion because of the lack of your knowledge or sometimes just a confusion, okay? What I just summarized for you is the essence. Now, there is a lot more into these 4 books, but in some sense, as it relevant to our subject of astronomy and science, is the essence from a Nyaya, Sankhya, Vaisheshika and Yoga Darshan, as it applies to science. So, again, I'm not going to the whole yoga philosophy. If you read, say Vaisheshika will give you Karya Karana Bhav. Not in one book. That's why I kind of put it as a 4. But they are talking about the same thing. For example, not in the same way, they have a different flavors. Like, you know the famous verse in Bhagavad-Gita? Ekam Sankhyam cha Yogam cha sapashyati yapashyati. They both are the same, that's coming from here. This Ekikarana is? It is a synthesis of multiple inferences sometime. It can be inference or it can be synthesis of multiple inferences, multiple constraints. And I'll give you an example of that, so you'll see it. Please, can you pass on the mic? Yeah. Similarly?
Overconfidence.
Which is what? Overconfidence can lead you to that. Which?
The 11th, Indriya Bhram.
Which is ignorance, right? Overconfidence is also ignorance. Yeah. So which is lack of knowledge. Overconfidence also comes from lack of knowledge, right? Okay, so now quickly the English names for these. Okay, I knew there would be at least one French student in the class. So I just had a translation here, okay. So aim, determination, conviction, some loose translation of it, not exact translation. Okay, distinction, gradation, mahatva mapan, taratamya, sequencing, anukram, association, sahacharya, objective testing, indriya pramanya. Unification is that ekikaran, skepticism is that samshay, right? Underlying phenomenon, that's my translation, guys, karya karana bhav, and confusion, delusion, that's the indriya bhram, okay. All right. So how it may look like, just a pictorial, so you have an aim, you take look at the data, you classify, you separate it out, then you classify, may classify into A, B, C, E, F, G, etc. I did there 2 categories, something like that. Then you start using your common sense and start combining them, sequencing them, associating them. So sometimes it's A first, but then B, C and E, you have to take it together. Are you with me? Think of making a avial. I don't know the recipe for it, but something you just do in a sequence when you put the oil and you put the mustard seeds. Avial doesn't have it. I don't know, but the little cooking I know, mustard seeds and then the cumin seeds and then asafoetida and then whatever goes. But some things you put it together. You understand what I'm saying? So depending on that, you have this association or you have that sequence. Then we'll go more, but this is essentially that pratyaksha, anumana, agama, pramanani. Okay. So I wrote it there, So pratyaksha, anumana, agama, pramanani. That is that triangle of Sir Karl Popper. Okay. So actual objective testing, and I don't know, Yatish, if you came late, so take notes, but I'm going to give all these slides, okay. And then once you go through this multiple, you will bring it all together. It could be one evidence, it could be multiple evidence and all that. And then it leads to a conclusion, but then you start asking what makes this happen, but you also start finding holes in it. Doubt. You have to. What can go wrong with this and so on, okay. All right. In terms of a break, how long did we go? So 1 hour, 15 minutes, okay. 3:30 we have got break. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing this is a nap time for some, it's a bit challenging. Okay, this let's do the logic. Okay, we'll go 10 minutes, guys. Okay, 10 minutes. I know it's a tough time. Just hold your eyes like this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just a slight late start for us. That's keeping. I want to cover some material. All right. Quickly, that's the scientific triangle. This is called logic of scientific discovery or logic of scientific method. If you forget everything else in the next 2 days, this day and tomorrow, and if you just remember this will be useful to you. You can reproduce everything that I have done in my 2 books. The tool that I used, okay, it needs a different flavor. I mean, avial is different than sambar, I understand. But the oil is there and vegetables are there and something like this. So the basic framework is here. Huh? Huh. Correct, because you are using pramana as a proof.
Different, a separate component. These 3, Pratyaksha, Anumana and Agama themselves are called Pramana.
Yes.
So why have you kept Pramana separate from Anumana?
Yeah. Separate from Anumana. Yeah. So I know what you're saying. So that whole thing is a Pramana, right?
But not whole thing. Each of them is a Pramana.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is, suppose, so what is how you translate Pramana?
Pramana is Yathartha Jnana, perceiving things as they are, or I don't know the exact English word for that. No, it's not from parameter. See, the word Pramana is used in 2 meanings. Okay.
Yes.
One is this Yathartha Jnana, and another is that through which you get Yathartha Jnana. Both of them are called Pramanas.
Correct.
So when Patanjali says Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama, Pramanani, then he means these are the 3
ways of Pramana. These 3 ways of Pramana, something like that.
3 kinds of Pramana.
Correct.
3 types of Pramana.
Yes.
So each of these are Pramana. So what you say Pratyaksha is a Pratyaksha Pramana. Anumana is Anumana Pramana.
I'm with you.
What is Pramana? That's usually Shabda Pramana. What is Shabda Pramana?
No, he has put it as Agama on the bottom.
Agama is Shabda Pramana. So that's also a Pramana is not a separate thing.
I'm with you. So tell me, what is the translation of Pramana?
Where?
No, hold on. So what is the translation?
Instrument. Like, so, for example, telescope that we call a Pramana for watching the
Is it? Because
there are 6 Pramanas in the Vedanta.
no, I'm going to show the example. No, I'm going to use this framework. I'm saying I use this framework for 800 times in Ramayana and Mahabharata. So just to the example might be there. So but before jumping, say I have translated there as a evidence. For example, it doesn't have to be evidence. It's a proof. I'm saying what is it? So Anumana gives you something. Anumana can lead to Pramana, or Anumana is a Pramana.
Anumana is a Pramana.
Yes, I'm with you. So help me. So the very fact Anumana, how will you translate Anumana? Thank you. So how would you translate Pramana? No, so yeah. Yes. Correct. So correct. Yes. Agama is also Pramana. Right. Okay, so let's take example. Right. So now hold on. So this is we have a yoga, shastra, this, that, but we have to extract it for a science, what I am calling a Vijnan Buddhi. Okay. Now, it's not my term. Vijnana Buddhi exists in Vaisheshika. Now, think of it. So, these are all leading to the pramana. So, you said agama is also pramana. I agree with it. So, what does that mean? In the agama, there is a statement, some statement. And you just accept it as it because agama is a pramana. Are you with me? Yes?
So there's
No,
not
you just accept a statement of a agama as a pramana. Fair?
I mean, that's not agama is how agama is considered as a pramana.
It is or it is not? It is. Right?
No, it is not. That.
Okay.
Bec-
I am using it different. No, I'm using it different. Yes, yes. And I'll tell you why. But no, I'm not making a fight. You two fight. Okay, but I need your help. So anumana is an inference or a prediction. Would you agree?
Anumana is inference. Can be inference.
Anumana. You don't anuman. Tomorrow it will rain.
Yeah. See, these are very technical words, and
Hold on.
No, I'm sorry. No, madam. Yeah. Because in the context of Shastra, these are technical terms.
Yeah.
Okay. This may just be semantics, but I'm trying to see what's the commonsensical approach to knowledge. Okay. Pratyaksha is observation. I'm able to see it in front of me.
Yes.
Right? And I see that happen once, twice, thrice. Now I'm able to see the trend, and I'm saying that, okay, if this happens, this is what's going to happen. So all this is coming from observation. Now, before I conclude that this is the fact, I would probably make a hypothesis and say that, and that is anumana.
Yes.
Right? I say, if this happens, this is bound to happen 90% of the times. I'm making a hypothesis.
Like a sunrise.
Sunrise,
rising of a sun. So we see it every day. That is a pratyaksha. We see the sunrise every day in the morning. So if someone makes anumana, that more likely 99.99% confident tomorrow morning also sun will rise. That is anumana. See, possibly what is happening, go ahead. Continue.
So therefore one is observation, and with that observation I make a hypothesis. And if this hypothesis is tested over a significantly longer or a bigger sample group, then I'm going to conclude that if this happens, this is definitely going to happen, and that's the pramana.
Yes.
So to me, these three are a continuum of the same thing. Okay, I'm not disputing the meaning of the word pramana. Okay, so your dispute is
because
pramana is not equal to evidence.
Outcome of the remaining thing for you. That's what you're saying. So there are different types of pramana: pratyaksha, anumana, agama.
There are 6 types of pramanas. In Vaisheshika, there are 5 types.
Yes.
But this pramana word is a very technical word. In these, if you are using these, you want to use it as a day. This thing is
So your dispute is about using pramana as a translation of evidence, right? That's the dispute. Okay.
It does not translate. The pramana word does not
Okay.
translate that.
So, but I'm asking.
Anumana itself is a pramana.
Correct. Okay. So anumana is also pramana. Are you also agreeing that the pratyaksha is also pramana? Stay with me. Anumana is also pramana. Okay. Only your problem is with the using the pramana at the top. Yeah. Agama is also pramana. Okay. What is if I translate agama as a background knowledge? Would you agree? If not, you have to give me the alternate translation.
Yeah. I'll give. No, sir. You will have to understand the whole framework, sir.
Yeah. So sometimes it's two choices. Yeah. Either you give me the translation or you wait until I go through mine and then you do it. Okay?
Yeah. I can explain the whole framework, what is pratyaksha and what is anumana and what is agama.
Right,
We
okay.
can do that, yeah.
And so then there is a theory also at the top, you know. So for example, if we take, no, it's not there into your pratyaksha, anumana, agama, pramanani, but you are doing this. This is a modes of getting knowledge. And what is the knowledge that you are getting?
The knowledge that you get is Jnana.
Get is?
Jnana.
Jnanam, yes.
Yes, that's the knowledge you get.
Yes, so very specific thing, right? So for example,
Sir, that jnana is not different from anumana. That jnana itself is called anumana. That jnana itself is called agama. That jnana itself is called pratyaksha.
okay, so we are into Advaita there, you know. So
Hey, no. I'll show. If you want, I can show you the framework, sir. The complete framework.
yeah. Okay, so what is happening is, so therefore, okay, so let's go one more try and then you know, I will continue with what I'm doing, you know, what I'm teaching. Anumana is a inference, you are okay. And that is a more means of pramana, fair? Means of pramana?
It's a pramana. Like this body is Nilesh.
Right,
Same similarly, that Anumana is a pramana.
correct.
The-
But what
one of
this
the-
body is a Nilesh is a statement. Is a statement, is a claim.
No,
Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha.
Hold on. Okay, so sun rises in the morning. Yeah.
You are standing here, it's a pratyaksha pramana. For me. Okay? You are a pratyaksha pramana. If you were in the US and someone told me about you, then you are not a pratyaksha pramana. That's what pratyaksha pramana.
Yes.
I infer that this is a book, and then because I see this, I have not seen it. Here it writes manipulation. I infer that that is the same you as the one I knew over here, then that is the Bhagavad. From something I see, infers that something inference I can make.
Yeah.
Some inference I can make from that. Okay. That he must be a scientist, he must be an astronomer, he must be
Yeah.
that inference I make.
Yeah. No, so I'm with, I understand where you are coming from, okay? What I'm asking is, so Anumana is a, so when I say Anumana is a means of a pramana, you say, no, Anumana is a pramana. If it is, why are the two words?
No, pramana is the. I mean,
No, stay
pratyaksha,
with me,
Yeah.
because I'm going to tell you what it is. Because a scientific framework, okay, in the context, whatever yoga context, even yoga establishes on the pramana, you know, even focus on the pramana, pratyaksha anumana. But what is happening is, you are getting possibly semantics, you are getting stuck into the words. What I'm saying is, there are these four words.
I'm not stuck into the words, sir. There are definitions given for these words. Therefore, what we are putting here on the screen, they contradict the definition.
But because you are also, no, what I mean is, because you are thinking, of course I took the words from Yoga Sutra, you are saying, no, Yoga Sutra is to be interpreted this way. Right?
No, there are definitions given in Yoga Sutra and in Vaisheshika.
Okay, very good. Now, let's
Nyaya.
excellent. No, this is great. And guys, some of you are bored, just get excited. This is good stuff, okay? What is yoga?
Chitta Vritti Nirodha.
Huh?
Chitta Vritti Nirodha.
Okay, is that the only definition, guys?
Given by Patanjali, that is the only definition.
No, I didn't say when I said yoga, it's from Yoga Sutra.
No, we can have hundreds of definitions, but when you talk about Patanjali's pramana, pratyaksha, agama, anumana, then you have to go by what Patanjali says. So, according to Patanjali, yoga is chitta vritti nirodha.
Okay, how do we know? No, yoga chitta vritti nirodha, yes. So, what is the other definitions? Okay, little bit come out from Patanjali for a minute, okay? And I deliberately use Patanjali. What about Gautama Nyaya Sutra, Nyaya Darshan?
Yeah, has he given any definition of yoga? I don't know.
No. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana.
See, so Gautama's definition of these pramanas, they are not different from Patanjali's definitions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think the definition of yoga from Yoga Sutra should be different from Bhagavad-Gita?
If it is defined differently, then it has to be different.
Okay, so there is a word yoga. Patanjali define it in a certain fashion.
Yeah.
Okay, Krishna defined it in a different fashion.
Yes.
Okay, just quick example. How many different definitions of yoga in Bhagavad Gita?
Yoga karmasu kaushalam is one difference.
Yoga karmasu kaushalam.
Yeah.
The expertise in the work that you do is a yoga. What else?
Samatvam yoga uchyate.
Your health balance is this. Yoga kshemam vahamyam. The yoga means very different.
Yes.
Are you with me? So Krishna in one book is giving a multiple definitions just to the word yoga.
See, sir, definition in the context of Shastra is different from explaining the meaning of a word in a grantha like Bhagavad-Gita is different, sir. Because it's more subjective when we talk about this thing, Shastra.
Okay.
It's more focused.
Yeah. This is a great discussion. This is a great discussion. Now, this is, guys, what happened actually. You know, someone like what you say, Karl Popper. Now, we don't know exactly where he got it from. Okay. Now, do you accept that Einstein's research just on a what you call just leap of faith that it is a good stuff? Newton's stuff is a good stuff. Kepler's stuff is a good stuff. You accept that? Yeah. Yes. Right. So the method that they used, knowingly or unknowingly, was a triangle of explanation, prediction, testing in the context of a background knowledge and a theory. Okay. Someone like Karl Popper went ahead with the triangle of this explanation, prediction, testing, whether he came up on his own or whether he came up from Yoga Sutra or Vaisheshika Sutra or Gautama Sutra. Okay. He went ahead and did something with it. Okay. What I am doing is I am saying for what they call science, what they call the triangle, we have a parallels in our Shastras.
We may have parallels, but these are not the parallels, that's what I am saying.
Oh, but these are not parallels based on what?
Because they have different meanings, different definitions by which they can't be put in places where we are putting.
So, but that is the beauty of a Sanskrit. You know, I mean, I'm not a Sanskrit expert, but you go and type a word and see what different meanings that you get. So, someone might possibly would have taken your Yoga Sutra, taken your Vaisheshika and ran with it.
Sir,
and you are stuck on the semantics.
No, not just semantics, sir. There is a tradition which carries that meaning, and also just not the semantics. It's also the intention of the granthakara, of the author.
Correct.
We can see from his when we look at his work from a holistic approach.
Okay. So we'll cap it. We'll take a break.
Yeah. We'll take a break. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't want to let go of the tradition. See, this is the challenge that we are facing. We as a society. Okay, so for example, I'm not picking on your word tradition. For example, what is the traditional date of Bhishma Nirvan? We celebrate. No, not Ekadashi. Now you have to take my Shabda. Okay, Shabda Praman on this. Okay, so Magha Shukla Ashtami. Okay, yeah. Vishnu Sahasranam, the day it is stated, okay, it is also celebrated as a whatever, some Ekadashi. Do you know what that is? No, Vishnu Sahasranam related, the day it was said, you'll find, I forgot the name, like a Bhishma Ekadashi or something like that. Bhishma Ekadashi is 11. These are both traditional dates. Do you see any problem with it? Gone. He's already gone. Magha Shukla Ashtami, and we celebrate. So, for example, now does that mean we should stop celebrating? No. But the tradition has their own logic to it. But just on a simple chronology, it would not fit.
But sir, the traditions of epics and these celebrations is totally different from the tradition of Shastras, because in Shastra, if you are going to define the word otherwise, you will be questioned, you will be challenged. So they are very careful about it. So there is no reason for us to look for another meaning of a given word in a grantha other than that which is explained there. Okay. So we have to be careful there. Sir.
No. Careful is of course. So, but what I'm saying is, so okay, I have gone with this, so we'll just continue for this session. But since you have that expertise, let's take it offline. But let's bring that.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to look for what are the words you
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what I'm saying is this is the, so because if you look at the Gautama Nyaya Darshana, what do you find? It's all, although it says like a vivad, it says like a debate. But what is the debate? I'll bring the quotes of Einstein. You know what Einstein says? Science, you say science is different, please don't don't destroy our Vyakaran. He says science is about language. Even the discovery has a sense of a language that you use.
Yeah, I'm not against looking at Shastras or traditions from the lens of science, but drawing parallels, we have to be very careful because they have their own connotations, the words have their own different meanings, which we should not mess up.
No. Well, okay, so Abhayam, remember? I'm also Amanita, I'm also humble, that I could be wrong.
Yeah, I find you humble, that's why I'm saying here.
Yeah, but I'm also fearless, So now what happens? So Pratipaksha Sthapana Hino Vitanda, So
I have a Paksha, I will do the Sthapana.
Yeah, so now for example, someone has to say, okay, so we use this Pratyaksha Anumana Agama Pramana of the yoga, and using this, we accomplish this. That would be required, right? That's what is the use of it at the end of the day.